This is Gilbert coming at you live with the 2006 Chevy Suburban with a 5.3 liter engine. The truck came in initially with the customer complaint that the starter is sticking as the owner is turning the key and he lets it go and it keeps on starting. Well, I don't know if the owner knew or not, but this specific Chevy Suburban comes with the ghost ignition system. Ghost ignition system is when you turn the key and you let it go, the computer engages by keeping the starter going until it feels the engine start. Once the engine starts, then it cuts the starter out of the circuit and then it runs normally. Usually when you have problems with it keep cranking and the engine doesn't catch until later on in the cycle, usually a fuel problem. Owner brought me a starter thinking the starter was bad, but lucky for him I diagnosed it anyways. He just brought it in here, changed the starter, and so the owner, I just went ahead and diagnosed it anyways and ended up that it's being a fuel problem. Here's a couple examples you can hear when the key starts. See how it's dragging? It's taking a while for it to start. And what I did do, and I'm going to do it on camera 10 times. See, I let it go and it's still starting. And it's taking a while for it to start. Usually with a problem like that, you probably got a dirty throttle body. It's not getting the right amount of air. But on this case, we went ahead and put a fuel pressure gauge on the truck. And we're going to do it a couple more times. See, now sometimes it starts up a little quicker and sometimes it don't. And I think it's because I'm doing it right away. What's going on with this Suburban is it's got a bad check valve inside the fuel pump. And what the check valve is designed to do is when the fuel pump is pumping fuel to the engine, with the key on, engine off, it should be about 48 pounds. And as you can see, I already have my fuel pressure gauge plugged into the fuel rail, and that's where I'm at. As you can see, I was inside the vehicle, nobody came out here to relieve the pressure, and it's already back down to 0. So we're gonna have a helper come and turn the ignition switch for us so that we can see the readings. That way you'll know what it is that I'm talking about. But first we're going to do a couple more cranks. That way you'll know what it is that I'm talking about. That the starter does not collide with the flywheel and grind or anything like that. As soon as the engine starts, the starter cuts out of the circuit. So that's how you can tell that it's going to be a fuel problem. If it was the starter, then the starter will still be engaged even though the engine was running, and you'd be hearing it crunch through the flywheel pretty good. And a lot of customer complaints, or a lot of customers are telling me that they had to pull the key back in order to get the starter to disengage, and that is a problem with these too, but in this case that's not what we're dealing with. So see how it does take a long time to start. So let me get a helper over here, and I'm going to show you what the fuel pressure gauge is going to look like when this symptom is happening. Okay, now we're going to show you what the fuel pressure reading is going to be at key on, engine off. Okay, go ahead and turn the key on. And you see how it goes up and then drops back down? That's a no-no. Okay, now we're going to do key on, engine on. Go ahead and start it. See, and the fuel pump itself is working pretty okay. That's why I say there's the check valve that's in it is bad, because when you shut the car off, it should hold pressure. Go ahead and shut the car off. It should hold pressure. It should have stayed at 48 pounds, and it didn't. It dropped all the way back down to 0. So that's how you know that it's a fuel problem and not a starting problem. So take the starter back and get a new fuel pump. Okay, so that's how you know that the ghost ignition system is part a factory add-in for this type of vehicle. And if you hear the starter grinding against the flywheel, there's going to be either ignition or starting problem. If you just hear it crank, 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 crank constantly and doesn't want to start, and then starts at the last minute, and then this circuit gets cut out of the starter, then you know it's a fuel problem. And I just showed you how to verify that. So hope this video helps, and thanks for watching my videos.